Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is a very short intro to just say hello. I filmed something a couple days ago that I haven't even had the courage to watch back because I know I cried in it. I'm not even sure why, but I'm gonna throw that at the end of the video, but I don't want to like downplay anything that we worked on already for this one. So I know I haven't posted much. I wasn't really sure what to say and I didn't want to come on and just create bullshit content. So I'm gonna throw a lot more into like planning for the new year. December is kind of a whirlwind and I really loved it. I had a lot of great time. I literally just was eating some focaccia I made and thinking this might be a good time to just say hello, hi, missed you, thanks for watching. Here's some road footage. Here's an amazing movie review from Kai that I've been sitting on for way too long, but she's so amazing that she's just patient and sends me stuff anyways. And yeah, I believe I'm gonna throw a rant down at the end. So welcome to the lost episodes. I am sorry again to anyone that actually cares and waits for these to come out. I often say like, if you want to know what I'm doing, watch my socials, because I know I'm like always on the road. Then I wasn't even coming up with that, so sorry about that. I'm fine. Proof of life. Not a bot, not AI. Welcome to Rust from the Road. 'Cause I will rise, you can't hold me down. Watch me unfold, I'll keep it strong. And I won't hide, I will live it loud. Through highs and the lows, I won't let go. Undeniable. Undeniable. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. Now it's time to head to the movies with our cinematic crusader. Here with another titanium take, here's our movie maven Kai.
Well, hey there, everybody. It is I, your movie maven Kai, back from the dead. My October and November were interesting, to say the least. I ended up getting the flu near the end of October, middle of October, and it wasn't fun. It never really is. And, I'm very blessed to have the kind of job where I can do my therapy sessions, my supervisory sessions via telehealth. So instead of resting and, drinking lots of fluids and, all of that, I was sniffling into a laptop camera. So that was fun. Got over that. And a couple weeks later, ended up getting a double eye infection because I work with kids and teenagers, and overall kids and teenagers are disgusting. So it happens, guys. Every person I know that works in any kind of education or healthcare around this time of year ends up really, getting the worst of it. So hopefully I have built up so many immunities and, a nice, back storage of antibiotics that I had to put into my eyes, not drops, guys, it was horrible. Anyway, but around that time, and we've talked about this before, I always like to watch my comfort movies, my movies that I can just sort of put on and veg out to, because I need that familiarity. I need that comfort, it's one of those things. So, my boyfriend was in town and I ended up unintentionally forcing him to watch the Twilight Saga, the entirety of the Twilight Saga, which he had never seen. I think he said it was the last movie or the last two movies. So he finally got to, complete the experience. And so I thought about that. I said, that's what I'm going to talk about this time. And then I was, doom scrolling the way that we do. And it came up across my feed that today, as I record this, November 21st, Twilight was released 17 years ago today. So it just seemed right. It's a very interesting and often problematic movie when you really, break down the bits and pieces in a lot of ways. I mean, you're talking about, vampire lore, which, well, they're not really vampires, they're more like fairies, but only in this, culture and blah, 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 and everything. And then, he was a, 109-year-old, but he had, a 17-year-old's body, but the mentality and this and that. And, it was, there's a lot of things that come up with it. But as my brother likes to say, we all have our trash and we love our trash, and that's okay. Because, when it comes to things like this, kind of entertainment, it's fictional. It's a story. And there's something wildly entertaining about it to me. And I love it. I absolutely love it. If you've never seen Twilight, it's a lot. It's 4 books, it's 5 movies, because it came out at the time where everybody was like, we have to make, more movies and more money and more whatever from these. And it's always funny when, you have things like Twilight, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, where, it takes years to film these things. And you see these actors that are supposed to be, a certain age, and they're getting older. And, it really becomes, obvious when it's supposed to be, kind of a short span of time. And so, that's one of the things that, this movie does not escape, even though, you're dealing with actors that are supposed to be playing vampires, but also like Peter Fasinelli, he looks amazing, absolutely amazing, all the way through this and still to this day. We love him so much, Dr. Cullen. So if you've never seen Twilight, the gist of it is there is this teenage girl, Bella, that she moves from Phoenix to Forks, Washington from her mom's house to her dad's house. Her mom has this new guy, and he's a minor league baseball player. So she's going to go and do spring training with him in Florida while she goes and moves up with her dad and spends time up there. And it's an interesting thing because if you're going to, move a kid, halfway through their high school, or even the beginning of their high school years to a brand new place, like that's horribly traumatic. She gets there, she starts kind of making friends, and then she makes notice of the Cullens, which is a family that is led by, Dr. and Mrs. Cullen. They have a bunch of, adopted kids. And as my dear Anna Kendrick puts it, it's weird because they're like all together. Dr. Cullen's like this, matchmaker. And it's true, like they're all kind of partnered up, except for the enigmatic Edward Cullen, played by Rob Pattinson. And, Bella is Kristen Stewart. And they meet. He tries to, deny feelings and stuff. Is it really feelings? Is it that, she's really appetizing to him? Parse that out where you will. But they meet, they fall in love, they decide they're gonna get married. She's 17, 18, it's a whole thing. A bunch of, bad vampires come in the first one, and they have to defeat them. Then in the second one, they make mention of the Volturi, which is like this governing body that lives in Italy of the vampires that have all these rules that, they have to not live in a place for too long, and people can't, notice that they don't age and blah, blah, blah. And so they have to talk them into not killing Bella and all of the Cullens. Meanwhile, Bella's, best little boyfriend that, is a few years younger, lives down the street, Jacob Black, played by Taylor Lautner, who is hilarious. If you're not following him on Instagram, please do. He's a treasure. He's just a joy. He and his friends find out that they can morph into werewolves because they have the, threat of vampires near their territory, near their reservation. And it's, a whole thing. Then you have the third one that basically is Bella going, you have to marry me, you have to marry me. I think it's Edward. Yeah, Edward's like, you have to marry me. And she's like, no, we don't have to do that. And he's like, yeah, I think we do. And so they do. That's like the whole thing about the third one. And then you have the fourth one where they get married, they go on their honeymoon, and Bella gets pregnant. So it's like this half vampire, entity or whatever. And it starts like feeding on her from the inside, and they have to, it's growing so fast. And, in a matter of a couple weeks, she looks like she's, 9 months pregnant and completely gaunt. And they have to figure out, basically, they promise the Volturi, we're going to turn Bella into a vampire so that, she can be a part of our family. We promise. She's pushing for it. Edward doesn't want to do it. And, they have a big epic battle at the end of the movie, and it's super fun and ridiculous and silly. It's got a killer soundtrack. Like every movie is like, the soundtracks have no business going that hard. You got everyone from, Muse to Paramore to, to all these, absolutely incredible bands. But it's funny, my favorite band being My Chemical Romance. They are actually the catalyst for Twilight being a thing, because Stephanie Meyers was obsessed with My Chem, and specifically Gerard. Like, who isn't? And so she sort of modeled Edward after him, and like her idealism of him and his beauty and his awesomeness. And, early days of the band, everyone's like, they're vampires, and it's, a whole thing. If you want me to get me into that lore, that's like a podcast. That's not even, a quick, movie review, but you let me know. But yeah, so it's, for someone like me who is not a horror movie purist, because I definitely like when there are different takes on, on stories and ideas and all of that. We just had a new Frankenstein movie come out. That's very different than other Frankenstein movies. They just redid things like The Mummy, and they're doing Mummy 4, and, both very, very different takes. And, it's it's always interesting to me when, stuff gets a new idea, a new feel. And I love when it's put into a universe that, much like, my beloved superhero movies, it makes it more accessible, it's very much in the real world. And like, how does this stuff stay, hidden and people don't find out and, all of that. So I love the world building when it comes to that sort of thing. Also, it just makes me want to go up to Forks, Washington, because they live there because it's like cloud cover all the time. And it's just such a cute little town and it really exists. And, they get a lot of their tourism from the fact that the book and the movies were set there. And then they actually filmed there, which is cute. So, that's my shameless confession, one of my comfort things, because it's 5 movies, is to watch Twilight. It's familiar, it's ridiculous, but it sure is nice to look at. But yeah, like there's, especially with, the state of the world that we're in right now, there's a lot of talk about, the things that we enjoy and, how these stories can be problematic and how they're, whatever. And I always, tell people you have to take entertainment that's telling a fictionalized fantasy story with a grain of salt. Yes, there's going to be things that you look at and you can go like, hey, it's a cautionary tale. And yes, there's going to be things that you look at and go, 17 years ago, 15 years ago, these movies are coming out. There was a different acceptance, the same way that we look back at shows that, came out in the 90s and go, wow, that's a lot of homophobia. Wow, that's how people joked about it. In a lot of ways. In other ways, it's like, this was the cruelty. They joked about it for the comfort, and then they go, this is the cruelty that people had to live with because it was very much done in a malicious, sort of way. And you kind of understand the evolution of thought processes in that way. And, where we can look back at movies from the 50s and 60s and go, oh my gosh, the ways that they talked about around the way they treated women, is so, antiquated now because of the internet, because of, media being the way that it is and being so accessible. It's a lot easier for us to look at this and, have a better view of it faster. And that's good. We should be recognizing these things. We should be understanding how these things can shape ideas and, how this is something that we once did or how we once thought. And when you know better, you do better and, all of that fun stuff. But, overall, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that movie that's, weird and creepy, but it's kind of supposed to be weird and creepy. It's, it's a vampire story. At the heart of it, it's supposed to be vampires. That's what they keep calling them. So that's, well, we'll go with that because again, they're more like fairies, but yeah. So yeah, that's how I was recovering. Even when I had my double eye infection, I was still doing sessions and I quarantined myself so that, the kiddo wouldn't end up getting sick, and it's, it's been a mess, but I am back on my feet. I'm back at work. I'm back into the craziness, and we're looking at Thanksgiving next week, guys. Like, how did this year, like we would say, wow, this week is really dragging. Wow, this month is really dragging. And then, oh my God, it's the last week of the month. Like, oh, where did the time go? Oh my gosh, it's already July. Oh no, it's the end of November. It's almost the end of the year. We have to remember to stop and take that breath and, make our way through each day before we try to make our way through a month. If we take it day by day, if we take it, even moment by moment, this is what I need to do now and this is what I need to do later, and that's, as long as you accomplished some of that, 1%'s better than 0%. And that's what's important because there's a lot of stress this time of year. The economy's in the toilet. Everybody's boycotting everything that has to do with, gifts and spending that's not, local and homemade or some kind of small batch or, you know, non-big box. And I think that, you know, in the precarious situation that we're in right now, it's probably for the best. And if we can return to an ideology of the holidays are for us to sit and reflect and celebrate whatever it is that we celebrate, whatever it is that we want to, you know, kind of draw a curtain on because, you know, the way we measure time. I think that that's really what's important. And it's not, you know, and this is my feeling every year, and I always get pushback on it, you know, but it's not about the things that you get. It's not about the money that you spend. It's not about, you know, the places that you go or all of those things that you weren't able to partake in. You know, I'm broke. Everyone's getting, you know, a best wishes from me. Happy holidays. It's about taking that cue, and you should do it every day, but you know, people are busy. You should take that cue and take the time to reach out to people and tell them, I am thankful for you. I appreciate you. Wow, look at everything that we've been through this year. Look at everything that I've been through this year, and you've been here for me. So thank you. Or look at everything that you've accomplished this year, and you're doing so amazing, and I'm really proud of you. Or it's been really rough, and you're still standing. Good for you. And whether or not you're saying that to another person or you're saying that to yourself, it's an important thing to be able to sit back and recognize and put out into the universe. Because what we put out, we receive, guys. It's just the law of the land. It's a rough time of year for me. I always go through a post Halloween depression. Because it's, you know, the time of year that I always look forward to, you know, but the holidays, Christmas and you know, specificity, is really rough for me for a lot of reasons. So, I am always very thankful and always very appreciative of the people that I have, to help me through that. And, you know, you guys included, we love you. You know, this kind of thing keeps me centered and focused and, you know, gives me a chance to have an excuse to take that time for myself. So thanks for that, guys. And, you know, on a more personal note, Rusty, I love you. Thank you so much for asking me to do this creative endeavor with you and to be able to, you know, put my thoughts and voice and opinion and everything out there. I really appreciate that because there's nothing I love more than giving my opinion. Guys, take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. Make sure that the people that are around you that matter know they matter and know that you matter. You know, that includes you. You have to be kind to yourself too. And that includes drinking your water, taking your meds, and coming back to see us next week.
Is this it? Is this what we're doing? Is this the intro? I guess if we're gonna end out this year, we should do it like this. I feel like I've been talking to regular people so much that this is not as comfortable anymore, and it's kind of sad, but in a good way. It's not that I haven't picked up a camera. I've picked up my phone. I can't put down my phone, right? I actually tried yesterday to go a little less social media, and it did feel good. It wasn't even just about being on a creative block. I started really considering like the type of content that we make in this world now. And how we're like force feeding people stuff and we're inundating feeds. Wow, force feed. I'll figure out something to do with that. But I just didn't want to get into the habit of like making content just for content. A lot of the content that I got interested in YouTube was always the stuff that we do, right? And I don't know, I just wasn't inspired, I guess. And so, and I don't want to say it in the way like I wasn't inspired by things around me, I just wasn't inspired to make content. Now, the last time I think I sat down and chatted was around the time I started working with Showdown. And I technically took them on as a client / contract, and then that contract ended at the end of November. Today is December 14th. And I don't know if you could hear that. I'm sorry if you could hear that whistling thing. I'll try to make this quick, but I applied for a content manager position, and then suddenly I was like director of marketing. I don't know. It was a lot really quickly, but I did meet a lot of really great people. And in the midst of that, I met like people while I was playing poker, and then obviously the amazing team that I got to work with. So as much as I'll miss working with a team, oh, I didn't renew. Let's just kind of clear that up. So right now I am unemployed again. I do have a couple of different things that I'm working on, but threw out a couple applications this week because I really do miss leading a team. I don't know, we're jumping around as we do normally, right? So basically, I had met a bunch of people at poker, and then whenever I was doing the marketing stuff, if it was the poker related content, I was incredibly inspired and I loved being in the action, but I also just really liked playing. It was like, that's what kept me going back. And then as I was developing different assets for them, mostly the menu, that shit put me on full-blown tilt. I really did not enjoy that project. I realized so much of marketing is not just like global perception or data for some people. It's like what they think they want to see, but then if they're not giving you clear direction, it's just, you're just winging it. And I hated that. I've never really enjoyed working in a gray area for money, because then it's like you're at the whim of someone's emotions and their feelings about the work that you've done, versus just like you asked me to do this, I did it, probably did it really well, we go on. I realized like in that I never wanted to feel that way about what I do for my own channel. I feel like I really dropped the ball for Kai's stuff that she's submitted to me, which really makes me upset. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna call it the lost episodes, because I don't want to like pick up where we left off, but I do want to close the year out strong. So I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna motherfucking edit until my brain is just like goo, and then maybe I go play poker. But I want to kind of look at this year and like reflect like we do, but I 2024 was so inundated with feelings and emotions because of everything that happened with my mom. And I'm very, that wasn't planned. I'm very proud of myself for how I handled a lot of that stuff. And I'm proud of myself for getting through that year. And yeah, I talk about it sometimes, and I do always give myself flowers for not breaking down and feeling my feelings and going forward, and, you know, not allowing my traumas to dictate my life. But sometime this year, I started really thinking like taking the time to finish and feel that out was necessary. And I think I did that through 2025. So we always talk about healing not being linear, but that is, it's just funny because, yeah, even if you're actively processing, there's just some stuff that comes up later. Like for the longest, I was thinking about like, what do I do with her? My aunt told me if you spread ashes, like realistically, I guess somewhere in the Bible, you really should just spread them in one place, you know, I don't know. But I thought, so, because I was gonna be like, I could give her some to you and then some to the ocean or whatever. She's like, no, you gotta keep her together, whatever you decide to do. So she's been in my closet. But I started thinking about it because I was just like, you know, I wouldn't want to just be like in a box in a closet. I would like to be back in the earth and, you know, I think I was like from dust to dust, from ash to ash or whatever I was thinking about. But the reality is like, it kind of looks like sand. And I think because we were like, I've always been an ocean baby. Like there's that one photo of us by the beach, or in the ocean, sorry. There's that one photo of us in the ocean. That's what I suddenly got called to do. And then actually this fun fact I guess I thought about was like, do you ever think about when you're walking on the beach how many dead people you're walking on? I've asked that to my friends recently, and I think they all want to disown me. But it's just something I thought about, because I was like, you know, realistically, like I thought about how people bury their parents or whatever, and like in a tree or something like that, and they're like, oh, it's part of a tree now. I'm like, well, not all of the, You can't turn bone into tree. That's just not how the star stuff fully works to my knowledge. But I mean, bone could be sand. And then I thought about how much of the sand is actually bone. And yeah, so basically that was my roundabout way of saying healing is not linear. You're gonna think about things on a random Tuesday like I did, and maybe unlock a thought that you needed to kind of start finishing out another process. So I do put, I just can't talk lately. I do plan on memorializing her that way. And then also, this is video evidence that if I die, please cremate me and throw my ashes or bones or whatever dust into the ocean. Atlantic Ocean, preferably off the coast of Lago by the Sea, you know. And then I will be rendezvousing with all of my family in heaven. I think about that too much lately. And so, wow, I don't want to keep crying. This is probably why I haven't been able to film. It's like I've been very, like, I wouldn't say unnecessarily emotional, like life be lifing, but I've been thinking like a lot of heavy stuff. I think that comes with the holidays. But I don't want to say I'm bored here, because I do love my life, but you know, I would really just like to talk to my grandpa for like 7 minutes. My grandma too, but that bitch would probably have so many comments. Oh, so funny. Okay, I am officially crazy rambling now. I've cried. It's only been 10 minutes, but I just, you know, I felt I needed to explain where I've been mentally, physically, internetally. And though if you follow me on Instagram, y'all know I'm active. That's one thing I love about Kai, is her Instagram keeps me alive. Anytime I see something so funny and Kai coded, I want to go share it to her, and then I realize she's the one that posted it. Like, I love those kind of friendships, right? Me and Waylon have a friendship like that too, where I'm like, I was gonna send this to you, but I realized you sent it to me. It's a beautiful day outside. I think it's like 30 something degrees though, and it's supposed to feel like 20. As far as work, kind of circling back to that conversation that I dejected from, I applied for a couple things. I've got a couple little contracts on, you know, the books for the rest of this year, so I can at least make my rent. And I'm not gonna go into too much personal stuff in this little moment outside of what we just covered, because I don't know, I gotta still think about how I feel about other things. I don't know, I'll just cut that. It's good to get this stuff out of my head. I think it's probably, I didn't even think about how much I would miss this as a healing process. What are these sounds? But anyways, welcome back. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna drop this at the end for anybody that gives a fuck. We're gonna just get it all done now. I love you. Thank you for coming back and giving a fuck. And I, yeah, interested to see what 2026 has for us. Love you. I feel like one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch a couple of the year's episodes and kind of, I know we had a good Vlogmas last year. I don't even sound like myself right now. Hello? Mad echo. I don't know if you could, I don't want to say echo, but wow. I guess if we're gonna end out this year, we should do it like this.